The Unwrap UVW modifier is a powerful unwrapping tool. We'll apply it under the UV coordinates modifiers here under Unwrap UVW. And once applied, you will see it has similar access to components as you do on your edit modifier, your edit poly modifier. But first, we'll go ahead, scroll down a little bit, and view our UV editor. To open the UV editor, we can click the Open UV Editor button, and you're going to see we have access to our UV layout here. Our component selection within the UV editor directly relates to our object selection within the 3D view, so it's a common workflow to make a selection in either view in order to help with the process. So at times I will come into my 3D view, make a selection here. So if I grab an edge selection here, we can do a loop selection, and within the editor I can do my operation. In this instance, I'm going to do a break. So now I have a seam within my model, and we can visualize our seams within the 3D view. It's this green line here. And within the editor, I can go ahead and make a selection based off of my element. So I have this polygon element here. So we can select by element. And now I have this entire island selected. Now if I were to go inside and let's say I had multiple polygon elements, I can go ahead and do that same thing, turn on my element selection and then select my entire element and then map that. So you can see how having access to similar tools and different coordinate spaces can be quite useful. So let's look at some more of our selection tools. For the most part, everything is roughly the same. So these are this will allow us to switch between different component modes, as well as coming in over here. Your 1, 2, 3 hotkeys will also work. You have access to growing selection and growing and shrinking selection, and selecting loops with your loop tools. So here we have, if we grab this, we can go to loop. We can go to ring selection. So if we were to just select an edge, grab the ring, we have access to that. And also with ignoring back-facing. So if you want to select back-facing components, you can do that, or you can ignore them as well. And you also have things like select by planar angle. So if we go to our faces here, and in this case if we enable it, we're able just to select anything with a 0 degree change. But as we increase this, so let's go to maybe 5 degrees. $45 degrees. $60 degrees. I mean, you can see how this works. It works just the same as it would within your edit poly modifier. And then here we also have access, if you've set material IDs to your polygons, to your components, you can select by material IDs to get a pick the IDs, and same goes with smoothing groups as well. Something interesting, if we open up our UV editor, just below it we have an option called Tweak and View. This allows us to manipulate our UVs within the 3D view. So if we go ahead, Tweak and View, and let's separate this seam a little bit. So we'll go ahead and click here, start moving our seam around. And if we look within the editor, it's probably easier to see if we turn off our background image right here. We can see that I'm able to manipulate my UVs within the 3D view. So that is a useful option. And just with any UV projection, or just with any object, you have the ability of storing up to 99 different UV map coordinates on your object, which can be utilized per texture. So on our texture, we can look at the coordinate section, and then here we'll have access to which map channel we're using. So if we look at our texture here, you get to see we're using map channel 1, which is where our UVs are stored. and this is the default channel. So if I bring this to 2, map channel 2 has no UV coordinates stored within it. And if I go to my map channel here, I can switch this to 2. I'm going to get a little warning saying, hey, you're moving your data from one channel to another. You can either move the data or delete the data. We'll just move it. And then now with the move, you get to see we have access to map channel 2 within our UV within our UV coordinates, and each coordinate space, each map channel can hold its own set of UVs. So you can have different projection within. Actually, we'll just do that right quick. So if we come into here, grab our unwrap UVW, you can see now we're storing our data into map channel 1. And if we go to map channel 1, you get to see we have access to this data. And if I were to do, let's say, a planar projection, I can do just that. Whoop. And just modify this. So you get to see map channel 1 has this data, and map channel 2 has this data. Okay. So those are our channels. This is where we have access. This is how you have access to manipulate which channel you're affecting. Okay. Peel settings, these are quite powerful. So this is in other software, it's kind of an unwrap or an unfold tool. It works based off of seams, so we can convert our selection. So if I wanted to do a seam down the center of my model, we can go ahead and select the loop. Let's go loop select. So I'll have this as a seam, and then I will convert. Here are our seam selections. I can convert edge selection to seam. So now I have a seam. Now there's some, as far as visual cues here, this blue line lets me know that it is a potential seam. It's marked as a seam, but it hasn't been unfolded yet. So once we unfold this, this will actually be a physical seam on our object. So you need seams. So once we have our seams enabled, we also need to have a selection. So if I were to actually, let's do 2 more seams in place. Let's go ahead and grab this loop here, convert selection, and then I'll do another one from here to here. And this is a useful place for this tool. So we'll click from here to here. Right click to end the session, and then we'll convert that to a seam. So now we have this blue seam here. So with our editor open, I'm going to go ahead and do the projection. Now the way this works, you can click on your peel mode, and this will allow the peel. But if you just click the button without having a face selection, it will do it on the entire model. And in this instance, if I had made any changes, let's say these changes here, that would be lost. So what we would do, we would go inside of face mode and make a face selection. Let's turn off this select by face angle. We'll select a face, and then we'll click on this button, which will expand our selection to the seams that we just created. So now when we do our operation, it's going to do the unfold based off of our seams and our selection. A very powerful tool. We'll have more data on our peel modifier in future video. Our projection, this works similar to the projections within your UVW map modifier. So based off your selection, you can go ahead and do a projection. In this case, I would do a cylindrical, and that selection has now been projected using a cylindrical modifier. And now, since I did the operation, you get to see I have access to the projection. And if we go inside of our editor here, we can go ahead and move our projection. Our transform tools within the editor are found here. So we can transform our components. Let's do face to verts. Just move these guys over. So you get to see we have that projection updated within our editor. Along with the transform, we have our rotation tools, scaling tools, and we have this free transform mode, which allows us to scale, translate, our object. If you need to mirror, you have access to mirror your components over here, and we also have access to more mirroring tools. Just mirror horizontal and vertical. If you have seams within your model, which we do, we can make our selection. And in this instance, I have my select by element, so let's go ahead and select this here. We can look at the connection, we can look at which elements, which edges would connect to our current selection. And let's actually go into edges here. We'll select these edges. And if we turn on, if we go to options, preferences, we want to make sure we have show shared subs enabled, and we should be, oh, here we are. We should be able to see the components that would connect in here. So connect to our seam. Actually, if we go ahead and rotate this, I think that's what my issue was. So if we grab this, rotate our object here, and then select my components, you can see, there we are. You can see that these components would connect to these elements here. So if I would want to do, let's say, a sew, let's actually rotate this yet again. Oh, whoops. Just rotate you. Okay. So now if we were to select these elements, and I would want these components to connect in where they would need to, we would use our weld options. We can find our weld options here. It's under stitch. So we can effectively stitch these elements to here using this button. And if we were to grab this, this kind of averages, so they'd stitch kind of in the middle here. And this button will bring the points down to my selection. And then we have a useful option here. If we click and hold, we can have these settings come up, and we have two buttons essentially. We have align to clusters, which allows us to move our polygon elements down to our object, and we have this scale, which doesn't really look like it does anything until you have different scale. So let's change our scale. We'll use the freeform tool, scale this down, and then we'll select these components, do our stitch option. So here you get to see that we're able to scale up our components, so it's going to scale to try to match. So that's your stitch settings, very powerful, important settings. So as far as general mapping tools, those are your main tools that you'll have access to within the Unwrap UVW modifier.